Right, good afternoon. I'd like to welcome the students from Dubai for this webinar. I'm going to prepare a Revit architectural model from scratch. I'm hopeful that you can both see the talking head and hear the voice, as well as share the screen. Okay, a new model from the architectural template. And now you should be familiar with this interface. I'm just going to check my volume for me, yeah. So, traditional interface, no change there. And I'm just going to do the setup, and you should also know by now about the setup. I'll put the grid lines in. Because it's a smaller, less complex building than last week's version, I'm just going to put them at 5 meters apart. I don't need a massive building for this. If I zoom out, it'll be less sensitive to dimensioning. If you make a mistake with the grid lines, and I think I've just done that, if you select it from the right hand side, you can simply correct that dimension. And that should be 5 meters apart, and clicking it'll correct itself. I'm going to put another 3 or 4 in. So we should have around half a dozen grid lines in. Oh, in this smaller building, I'm thinking more in terms of a small office block or a hall of residence or something of that kind, rather than a domestic dwelling. So something along those lines. That's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I might do another one. I'll do another grid line, make it just a wee bit bigger. So approximately 30 meters long. Well, actually there's nothing approximate about it, it's precisely 30 meters long. I'm moving these out of the way, these elevation markers. And you can put in horizontal grids the same way as we did last week for the structural model, but I'm not going to bother, it's really not required. So I'm going to continue with the setup. That's the grid lines, we'll leave them at that, just with the 6 or 7 vertical grid lines in. And I'm now going to put in the level lines in. So I have to go to the elevation over here, open up the elevations, and I'll use the east elevation. Now as you can see, I can get a couple of elevations already, and I'm going to put a few more in. I'm going to put in one below this. I'll put it in a meter subsurface. That'll be for, I think we'll make it a Raft Foundation. I'm going to call that Raft Foundation. Click on the white space, and this usual question about renaming the views pops up. And I want this to change over here, so that'll be a yes, as always really, it's always a yes. And this one here, I'm going to call it ground, or ground level. Click in the white space, always a yes. I'll just bring these along so that they're at the same kind of length. And I'm going to try and get this building done to completion today. So I'm going to move it along again quite quickly, a wee bit quicker than we did on week 1. So level 1 is fine. I'll put a few more in. I don't want it just to be a single story building. Level line. I'm going to make them all at 3 meters. And I'm going to put stairs in this building. Because to the best of my recollection, we haven't actually modelled stairs yet. I think we'll level 3. Sometimes the numbering doesn't behave itself. That's obviously going to be number 2, level 2. I'll do one more. That's 3 meters. That's level 3, and I'll give it a separate roof level, although I might not actually need this, and I'll show you why when we come to that stage. But I will put it in and I'll rename it roof level, or top of roof, some people like to call it roof level. So that's the setup complete. I'm going to go to the Raft Foundation. I've got just the vertical grids in here this time. We can put horizontal grids in again and use the grid lines simply as placeholders for various things, floors, columns, etc. But I'm not going to bother with that. I'm going to change the view range so that we can see the raft that we're going to model, and I'm going to go to Edit, Unlimited, apply OK. And if I don't do that, I could draw a raft in here, and because it's subsurface in this level, I wouldn't actually see it. So, structure, the slab or the raft, I'm going to draw a footprint almost kind of at random. I know that these dimensions are accurate, that's 25 meters. I'm going to give this a corner, a wee kind of 45-degree. Oops. Meant to happen, 45, excuse me a minute. Make a mistake, restart, 45. There. I'll bring this down, right down a wee bit bigger than that, 12.5 meters. I'll come in here. I'll make that just 2 meters, I think, and bring it along quite a bit, and I'll make this end elevation, this west elevation, I'll make it a curved elevation, and that's the raft model. Now it defaults to hidden line. I'm going to change that to consistent colours and check it in 3D. 3D is always a good place to check things, and that's our footprint. Now, as usual with a raft, you have to put the raft edge in. The raft edge tool lives under here, the slab edge. Select the tool, and I can do it individually, selecting the underside of the slab edges one at a time. I can do that, that works. It's however prone to making mistakes, so I'm just going to start again and I'll show you a wee shortcut. I think I've shown you this before, but it's a good one to know. The slab edge tool selected, and then I just highlight on the underside of any part of the slab. I'll use this one here. I think that should be nice visible on your screens, nice and visible on your screens. I then hit the tab key and I'll highlight them all. I left click and I put in the slab edge all the way around the structure. So that's the foundation slab done. I'm now going to put in structural walls. Choose the wall type from the type selector. Below ground, cavity wall below ground will be fine. I know that it's not going to be from the Raft Foundation up to the Raft Foundation with a -8 meters offset. But I'm just going to go with that for in the meantime. But one thing I do have to change before I start to model it is this wall center line option here, the location line. I'm going to change that from its default wall center line to finish face exterior, and just make sure that that does in fact say chain. So I'm going to select the outside part of the footprint all the way round, right away round, working in a broadly clockwise direction, starting from the top left, working all the way back round, making sure I'm on the outside of the footprint each time. When I get to here, I have to change the tool to the arc. I'll zoom in a wee bit, and then it should snap to the arc there. And then to finish using this tool, I can either just click the modify button or hit the escape key a couple of times. And that's that. Now if I check this in 3D, those walls should be, yeah, a way down 8 meters down there. So I'm going to select one of them, then I SA them to select them all. And this time it will allow me to change the properties. In theory, you should be changing these properties before you model something, so it's not modelled incorrectly. But on my machine, certainly, this appears to be just a software glitch of some kind. I suspect it's not universal, and it might work for you. And if it does work for you, that's fine, that's how you're supposed to do it. But this is my workaround: model it first and then change the properties. So the base constraint in here in the properties panel is at Raft Foundation. That at least is right. I'm going to take it not up to the Raft Foundation, clearly that would be impossible. Can't start and stop in the same place. I'm going to take it up to the ground level and simply put a 0 in there. There's no base offset. It's going to start at the Raft Foundation and finish at ground level. So I can mouse over into the white space and it will apply that for me, or I can hit the apply button. I'm just simply going to mouse over and that apply takes effect. I'm going to click in the white space. Now I like to have a visual check that I've got these absolutely in line. So I'm just going to check one or two of them that they're in fact plumb, there's no overhangs or anything which would offend the eye. The arc in particular, just make sure you've got your arc in good shape. Yeah, that's all we can find, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to put in a floor on this ground level. We'll try and move this along quite quickly. Again, I'm not going to try and ask questions or slow the whole process down, because I'll make this video available to you. I'll send you the URL for it and you can use it as a stop-start kind of treatment. I think it's easier for you. So I'm now at ground level. I'll go back to the floor plan and hopefully I would see the walls. Clearly I can't. So I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to go to the view range. I'm going to edit the view range and I'm simply going to say unlimited so I can see everything below. Oh dear, I'll see everything underneath this level at the moment. Apply that and OK that to get that out of the way. Now that's the ground floor walls that I can see now. I'm going to place the walls, place the floor on top of the walls. So I'm going to go to architecture. I'm just going to use a standard architectural floor. The floor type in here, I'm going to change this one. This is ground bearing concrete. I'll go with that. And then this is the wall tool selected here, pick walls. So I'll mouse over one of the walls. I'm not clicking anything, I'll just simply mouse over any one. I'll use this one just for a change. And then I hit the tab key, it'll highlight them all, and then I left click and the sketch lines will appear, and they should all be in the middle of the walls all the way around. Just have a visual check. If there's a gap, even the smallest gap, it won't allow me to complete the floor. So I'm going to make a wee gap in here. Can you see it in here? And then I try and finish. I should get 2 orange dots telling me it's not a closed loop. So finish the floor. There's my error message there. Lines must be in closed loops. The highlighted lines are open at one end, so I'm going to continue. And I'll zoom in, and then I can use this tool here. This is the trim extend to corners. I can just select the bits I need and it will trim it for me and make them meet. And then now when I hit the check mark to finish, I'm given this question here: do I want the walls that go up to that level to attach to the underside? And that's a no. But I do want it to cut out the geometry, so that's a yes. So that's the thing in plan view and ground. I'll look at it in 3D, it's always a good idea. So that's a ground floor. Now I'm going to copy this floor up. I'm going to copy it up just to one level for a moment. Copy it onto the clipboard. I'm going to paste aligned. I'm just going to copy it up onto level 1. It's already on level ground level, sorry. I'm going to copy it up just one level up to level 1. Now it's fine as it is, but it's the wrong kind of floor for anything off the ground, so I'm going to select it and change the type selector in here. I'm just going to make it an ordinary concrete floor. Change its type, and I'm reasonably happy with it, but I'm going to put a balcony in this building here. So I'm going to select this floor that I've copied up. I'm going to edit its boundary. I'm going to go to level 1 and I'm simply going to pull that out here. 1.5 meters. Happy with that. So now my floor on level 1 looks like that. Okay. I'm going to select this one now, and I'm going to copy that up, paste it aligned. I'll put that on both levels 2 and 3. So we're already getting some impression of the height of this building. I'll now put walls on the ground and take them up. Okay, so back to the ground level. I'm going to select the wall tool. I'm going to make this a structural wall. And the wall type I'm going to change to the cavity wall. It's actually the cavity wall we started off with. This one here, cavity 102. This is the component parts on the wall. It's 102 on the outside, 75I is the insulation gap, the cavity. The inner skin is 100 mm wide, and it's finished with plasterboard. I'm going to select this wall type here. It's in here. It's remembered I used finish face exterior last time, so I'm just going to keep it like that. That's fine for me. I used this tool here, and then what I did last time was I selected the outside of the footprint all the way around, and I could do that again. However, I'm going to use this tool for a wee change. I'm going to pick the lines, and I simply select the outer line. Now if it's telling me the highlighted walls overlap, I'm just going to close that, and I'm going to have a wee look at it in 3D. And it's round here, and there's the reason it's overlapping. It's giving it this negative offset. Okay, it's giving us minus offset, so I'm going to fix this one, but if it happens with the others, I'm just going to leave them and I'll fix them at the end. So this wall here, its base constraint is ground level, that bit at least is right. But here it's got this minus 8 meters offset. I don't want it to have any offset at all. And I'm just going to take it up to level 1 in the first instance. That obviously will go further up the building, but for the moment I'm just going to leave it as level 1. And that's removed the clash. Just while I'm here, I'm going to make sure that it's actually plumb with the wall underneath it, which it is. So I'll go back to ground level, and I've got a wall in here. Just checked it and it's fine. I'm going to go back to the wall tool. It's remembered this wall type. It seems to be behaving itself here now. It seems to be ground level. Top constraint, I want that to go up to level 1 from memory. Apply it, and we'll see how this works. The line tool with this one, and selecting the outside, changing that to finish face exterior. It does try and misbehave sometimes. And then you just simply select all the way around the footprint of your building. Now I'm not going to put one in here, but I could select this outer line here clearly, but I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave this just for a minute. I have a plan for that one. So it seems to have behaved here. I'm happy with that. These walls should all be structural walls. I'm just going to check them all, select them all, and make sure that this in fact says structural. It does. So I'm happy with that. These are structural walls. That's fine. Now here, this along this curved elevation here, this west elevation, I think that would make a nice glass wall. So I'm going to go to the ground level, and instead of putting in a wall like this ordinary cavity wall, I'm going to put in a nice curtain wall around this west elevation. I think that curve and a carved wall might marry nicely together. So again, the wall tool, but clearly not the same walls I used before. I'm going to use the type select and come down to the curtain walls here. This is exterior glazing, and that's the one I'm going to use. Exterior glazing. It is a curve, so I select the curve tool, and again, outside to outside, and then finish. Check it in 3D. It's fine. Not very high, but that will change. Now, I'm going to put in some structural columns in this building. I know we've done this before, but I want to have this on the video so you can refer to it. and stop start when you're doing it. So I'm going to put in these columns again. This balcony is cantilever support on 3 of its, or almost 3 of its sides. Certainly this long side. So in my opinion, there's a great deal of support in here. A structural engineer that you might have to negotiate this design with might disagree, but I'm going to put 2 columns to support each of these balconies all the way up, and they'll obviously be founded with their own pad foundation. So it doesn't really matter where I start to put the columns. I'm just going to start on ground. Clearly they won't stay on ground. They're going to go to right down to foundation level, raft foundation level. In fact, if I go up here, off the ground to level 1, I can see the extruded floor which forms the balcony. So that's quite handy. I'm actually going to change it, not put it on the ground, I'll put it on the balcony. So I use the structure tab and I select the structural column. This is a universal column, and that's its dimensions in there. We can change the column type. If we load in more, at least we can change the column type. That seems to have only the one loaded in. I'm just going to go with the one that I've got loaded in. But if I did want to load more in, I would go to Insert, Load Family, and open the folder called Structural Columns. And now I'm going to put a steel column in here, and there's your various column types, and your universal column here. These are sizes. I'm just going to go, I might as well do it since I'm loading them in. They start at the biggest one up here, and I'm just going to go with that one, the biggest one. So I've got that column loaded in, and make sure that it is this one. Yeah, that's fine. And I'm going to put it, I'll just put it on the grid line. Put them both on the grid line. There's a lot of support for this balcony on this wall here. These are structural walls, remember. And I'm going to select these 2, and I'm going to flip them. If you remember that, we did that in the structural model. It's just so that it's aligned with the floor where we can, that the external part of the beam of the column doesn't protrude beyond the edge of the concrete floor. So checking it in 3D, I can see that this is fine as far as it goes, but clearly it stops at the ground and it doesn't have a proper foundation. So I'm going to select both, select one of them, and SA will select all, in this case the other one, and its base level is going to be at the raft foundation level. That'll be fine for the pad, and I'm going to take it up to level 3. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the raft foundation level, and I should see that my columns are in place. Now I have to put in the footings. So structure, isolated, and now it's looking for structural foundations, different kinds of footings. I'd like to load one now in. Yes, I would indeed. I don't have any, so I need to load them in. So structural foundations in here. I'm just going to use an ordinary pad, a rectangular pad foundation. These are the various sizes. I think, given I've got 2 of them, I'm going to go with the smallest one here. A metre by a metre is 500 deep. That's quite a chunky pad foundation for a column of this size, so I'm going to go with that. And then I'm just, instead of putting them in individually here, and I can do that, I'm just going to show you this tool again at columns, select the columns, and finish. It doesn't make much difference, but it's nice to see the thing work. Now I go back to 3D, and I can see the columns are in place with their pad foundations. Alright, these walls here, I'm going to take them up through the building a wee bit. I'm going to select all of these walls. Notice that doesn't select every wall in the place, it just selects up walls of that instance, or that type. So I'm going to put them up to level 3 as well. And I'm beginning to have a building which takes shape. This cut wall here It 2 belongs on level 3, so I'll take that up as well. Okay. What to do next? Doors. I'm going to put some doors in. Now I'll just put doors on here. I don't think I'll use a double door, I'll just use a single door. If I need more doors, I've got a few kind of out of the box with the software. But I'm going to load some more in. I want a kind of nicer door, those are a bit plain. I'll use an external door because it's coming out to a balcony, and I'll just make it a single door. And I can flip through these. These are too elaborate for just an ordinary balcony door. Double door not required. I think the one with the glass is quite nice. In fact, I'm going to go with that one, this one here. So I'll load it into the project, and then I simply go to the door tool. Let's remember that the door I've just loaded in. So architecture, door, and then I'm going to put one on the ground floor here. Not please in the foundations. On the ground. Now I could just manually place these doors here above it, but I want to make sure that these are in line, these doors, one with the other. So I select the door, and again I copy it and I paste it and align to selected levels. I've got it on the ground here, so I'm going to put it on levels 1 and 2. And I know that these are perfectly aligned with each other. If I zoom in, I can see they're just how I'd want them. If I find they're round the wrong way, I can actually flip them by hitting the space bar, same as we did with the columns. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but that door has actually flipped. This handle is now on this side. I don't really like that. I'm just going to put it back the way it was, keep them all aligned. Okay. Right, what to do next? I suppose windows, or we can put a door, we can put a different kind of wall embedded into these balconies. So this guy on the ground floor doesn't have a balcony, but on these floors here, level 1 and level 2, and ultimately level 3, we're going to have access to these balconies. There's no point in having a balcony if it's just to look at. So I'm going to raise this wall here up to the highest level, which in my case is roof. Okay, I'll probably need to do the same with this one. In fact, I won't, I'll just do it now. Up to the roof level. And I've still got these doors on the clipboard, so I'm going to copy another one in. So modify, paste aligned onto the roof level, that other door. Good. So make sure, copy onto the clipboard, paste aligned onto level 3. Okay, it looks a bit odd just now because these aren't raised up to the appropriate levels, but it will look good. So I'm going to put a wall here, embedded in here. It's called I'll use the storefront wall, I think. I'm going to go to roof level. I might need to change the amount of levels I've got and increase the height of this building. So I'm going to go to architecture, wall, just an architectural wall, made of glass, very few structural properties. I'm going to use this one here that says storefront. I know it's technically not a storefront, it's going onto a balcony, but I'll show you how it looks. So it's on the roof level, it's unconnected. I'm just going to put it in here, choosing the wall centre line, and I'm just going to make it some arbitrary length. I'm going to make it 10 metres long. It's quite long. Now when I click this and come out of this, it should tell me that I've got one wall in the same 3D space as another. I'm going to fix that, so it's not telling me. I wonder why it's not telling me. It's because it's not. It's in the wrong place. So I want it to be in level 3, and its top constraint unconnected is fine, but I don't want it to be 3 meters tall. I just want it to be something like 2.3 meters. And now it's going to tell me this error that I was looking for a minute ago. The highlighted walls overlap. So I'm going to OK that. Now my wall looks as if it's disappeared, but I'm going to cut this wall with this one so we can use this wall. So I go to Modify, the cut tool lives in here, it's Cut Geometry, it's the proper name. The cut tool there, Cut Geometry, and you select the wall you're going to cut first, and then you select your wall you're going to cut it with. So that's how that should look. Now, I've got one wall here with door on it. I'm going to copy this wall onto the clipboard, and I'm going to, surprise, surprise, paste a line down to the various other levels. Now it's on level 3 up here right now, so I'm going to paste it into levels 2 and 1, and even on the ground. So ground, 1 and 2. Now it's telling me that it doesn't like the fact that these highlighted walls overlap and they're occupying the same 3D space. But we know that we're going to fix that in a minute, so I'm just going to close that down, and I'm going to do the same thing again. Cut Geometry, select the wall I'm going to cut into, and then I'm going to cut that wall there. Okay, Cut Geometry, select the wall, and there we are, we're beginning to cut down. Cut Geometry, select the wall I'm going to cut into with the wall I'm going to use to cut it. And we've got my storefront wall on each of these 3 levels. Sorry, each of these 4 levels. Ground, 1, 2 and 3. Now, this will be the ground level. Remember, these will be subsurface walls. I'll put a Toposurface in today so you can see how that's done. I'm going to put a door in each of these walls, these storefront walls. It's a slightly odd name, they're not always used for storefront, although you can see that they would be handy for that particular use. Because you could have your main wall, structural wall of a building, maybe a commercial building, and you could pop in glass frontages with doors in it. And I'm going to put the doors in now. Now, unfortunately, if I go to the architecture and then the tool, door, it will allow me to put a door on an ordinary wall. Like you can see that, I mean, I'm not going to do it. Well, I will do it, no, I'll delete it. That allows me to do that just quite happily. But if I try and put a door on this storefront wall, it won't work. I'll just show it not working right. You see, it's not. It'll allow me to put it in this part of the wall, but it will not allow me to put it here. It's trying to find somewhere that will host it. And the reason for that is the doors that appear in the storefront wall won't actually be called doors. They're called curtain wall panels. Now, to you and I, they will definitely look like doors, but for Revit, it calls them curtain wall panels. So I'm going to load in some curtain wall panels. I go to Insert, Load Family in the usual way. I have to go to the folder not called Doors down here, where all the other doors live. I have to go to Curtain Wall Panels, and I select a door that I think might be suitable. Take me out onto this balcony. And not a double door, I'm going to use a single door. Although, I'm going to stick with, certainly not going to use that, that would have to be a busy balcony. I'm going to use that. That'll do. I'm going to load that door type into the project. Clearly nothing happens, but I'm now going to show you the process for inserting a curtain wall door into a curtain wall. Now, if I mouse over, I'll use this bottom one here, and I can't select a panel. I've got 2 choices. I can tab, so it allows me to select an individual panel, i.e. that one. That'll be fine. Or I can select the wall, and then right click on it and choose Select Panels on Host. And now I would choose maybe that one. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use the original method to tab through, and I'll select that panel there, and I'll just trade it for the curtain wall panel, which is a door. So for this one here, I think, and I don't know if you can see it, but that's now cut wall panel as a door. The mullions that will go on here will make it maybe a wee bit clearer. For the moment I'm happy with that. I don't want to put the mullions in just now because it might slow the model down a wee bit. I'm going to do the same here. Select it this time. This time I'm going to right click on it and select the panel on the host. And I'm going to select that panel there, just to make the door in a slightly different place for the wee change. Although obviously I must say on balance I would put them in line. However, I've decided I'm doing it this way now. I'll go back to this method of choosing a panel. I'm just going to swap that one out for the door again. And that one there. Right click, select panels on host. This panel, oops. And swap it out for the door. So I've got a kind of crisscross thing going on here. It might be nicer if they were aligned. I'm just showing you how that would work. Now there seems to be more than a fair share of doors here on this balcony. We've got these, we've got this one. I'm just going to go with it, although it might look a bit strange. I'm going to put in railings. In a minute I'm going to put in railings around these balconies. We don't want people on this balcony and then falling off. So I'm going to put in, before I put the railings in, I'm going to put in a different kind of column to wrap around these steel columns, these kind of structural columns. I mean they're very nice, and some people like industrial looks, especially in commercial buildings. It's quite a nice design feature. But in this building I'm going to put an architectural column wrapped round, just so that it makes it look a bit more, that just makes it look nicer. So if you've spent a lot of money in a nice wee office building of this kind, you maybe don't want an ugly structural column there if you haven't adopted an industrial kind of look elsewhere in the building. So I'm going to come to ground level. I can see my columns here, I can even see the foundations. I won't need those. I'm going to start at ground level. I'm going to go to architecture, column, and this time I don't want to use the structural columns, I'm going to use the architectural columns. Now I've got various kinds of architectural columns. I should only have one or two loaded. In fact, I've only got the one rectangular type loaded. I'm going to go for the biggest one, 600 by 600, and I'm going to leave it on the rectangular type of architectural column. In fact, I don't think it's going to be big enough. It is. I'm going to go with that. I've got two architectural columns, and now these architectural columns should start at the ground. I don't want them to stop at level 1, although I'm going to show you what that looks like. At the moment they're stopping at level 1. I want them to go all the way up to level 1, 2, 3. I'm going to take them up to level 3. And that's the that's the architectural columns modelled, and the cover, the business end of the column, which is the structural column underneath it. The architectural column has no structural properties whatsoever. You can really think of it as almost decor. I'm going to put the railings in now, so this floor here is on level 1, so I'm going to go to level 1. Deselect the floor, and I'm going to put in railings. Railings live here. I don't want just to use a simple place on host approach. I want to sketch the path of a railing. So I'm going to sketch the path, and I can use an offset, or I can simply do it by eye. I'm going to choose to do it by eye, but please don't use the external perimeter of the balcony. Railings tend not to sit on the external perimeter, they tend to be offset so they can get some kind of hold on the concrete. So I'm going to select here, make sure that that says chain, so I can continue to select. I can't select one and then it'll stop me here and not let me do this one. So chain. I'm going to stop it there. So I hit the escape key a couple of times, finish, And then I'm going to do another one, architectural, railing, sketch path. And I'm going to select here, to here. Finish that one as well. And then I'm going to do yet another one. Railing, sketch path, line on the edge of the column here. And finish. Check it in 3D as usual. The railings are fine. I don't need them to go through the column clearly. Railings wouldn't generally go through a column. It certainly wouldn't come anywhere near the structural column, which is the business end of this column, is holding these balconies up. But I do need to copy them up onto the other floors. So I'm going to select them. I'll just have to SA, it'll select them all. And then I'm going to copy them onto the clipboard, and again, same old, paste aligned. I've got them on level 1, I want them on levels 2 and 3. And if I zoom out a wee bit, you can see I've got them pasted up. Now this one here, I'm going to delete that particular railing, and I'm going to delete this particular railing, and I'm going to edit the path of this one because clearly the column doesn't come all the way up. So I'm going to select this one, I'm going to edit its path, and I go on to level 3, and I simply select it, and I take it to here, and then I'm going to draw another line in here, and I'll take that to there, and finish that. Check it in 3D. Check it in 3D would be good, yeah. And that really goes all the way along. It's not interrupted by the column, and these are. So a wee change there. I don't know if you can see that. That's fine. All of these walls, I'm going to take them up to level 3. And as expected, so I'm going to undo that because I want that wall to be reinstated. I'm going to take this, I'm going to add in another few levels on this building. I'm going to move the roof level right out of the way for a minute. I've clearly got something attached to the roof, this wall here, so I want it just to go to level 3 for a minute. It's tell me to cut out so I'm going to cancel that. I'm just going to let it sit there for a minute. I'm going to add in another few levels here. I'm going to add in a level 4. It'd be good if it called itself level 4, wouldn't it? Level 4. And I'll bring this down. Well, that's fine. I'll leave that attached to the roof level, that's fine. And all these walls can attach at the top to level 4, level I've just made. Right. This one here, the curtain wall, I'll do the same with that. That'll go up to level 4 now. Level 4. And this grid clearly is wrong. I don't know if you can see it, but the grid lines are not matching the floors. So I'm going to select the curtain wall. I go into its edit type and the fixed distance here. I don't know if you remember the elevation of this building, the level lines were set at 3 meters. So you have to put that one in for the horizontal grid. And the fixed distance here, vertical lines, they can go at half that. So if I OK that, you can see that these grid lines go aligned with the floors. I'm going to put in the mullions on this wall now and on these. So I go back to that tool, I select the curtain wall, I go into its edit type, and then I'm just going to put in the mullions. The mullions live in here, edit type. There's various kinds of mullions you can put in. I'm just going to go with a rectangular mullion all over the place, make them all the same. Clearly you don't have to do that. You can vary it as you wish. Make them all, oops, rectangular mullion, must be there somewhere, there it's there, no it's not, that's it there. So they're all the same, apply that and OK, and you'll see that I have the mullions in to connect the glass panel switch form with curtain wall. And here I don't, so I have to select that wall type and again go into its edit type and I have to change it here. This hasn't adopted it because it's a different wall we used here. I don't remember, this was a storefront, the other one was exterior glazing. So the horizontal grid lines are at 2.4. I'm going to go with that, that's fine. This fixed distance here, I'm going to make it 1500. So OK that, and you'll see that should be fine. Yeah, happy with that. We'll go back to one. They'll all follow the same behaviour, by the way. They're all the same wall type, storefront. So I'm going to go to edit type, and this time I'm going to add in the mullions yet again. And I'm going to make the mullions the same as they were in the other wall type. All rectangular, all 50 by 150. I'll just make them all the same. All the way down. Same, that's fine. You'll see the mullions will appear in here. It looks a bit more normal now. If you notice that when I mouse over, I can select the mullion which is both above and below the door. I can do that for them all. And I don't actually want that. I don't want a mullion below the door. So if I select this, I'll get a mark showing me a pin. So I'm going to select it. And this item is pinned, which means it's not really susceptible to much editing. So I'm going to unpin it. And that now allow me to delete it, and I'll delete it just with the delete key, and the door will drop down to fill the available space. So I'm going to delete it, and the door drop down. I'm going to do the same with the other three. So I'm going to zoom in here, kind of through the railing, unpin it, and delete. The door will drop down, same in here, unpin, and delete. And up here, the last one, unpin and delete. I'll leave the mullion above the door, that's not doing any harm. Not something you have to walk over to get out onto your balcony. But that's how that should look. Now, roofs. And my intention today is to get to stairs, roofs, and I'm putting a Toposurface in. So I'm going to get to, I don't think we'll get to the stage where we can put internal walls in, but I'm certainly going to put a roof on, different kinds of roofs, and I'm going to put in the Toposurface. If I can get some stairs done, that'll be fine. So I'm going to go to this east elevation here, and I'm going to use the roof tool, and I'm going to use a roof by extrusion first. So roof by extrusion, it's asking me to pick a plane, that'll be okay. I'll just pick a plane up here. Roof level will be great, although it really doesn't matter, you'll see why. Now it's asking me to draw a profile, and I'm going to draw a profile and the roof will extrude along that profile. I'm just simply, for the first one, I'm going to draw a curve. I'm going to start it, and I'll start it somewhere randomly here. And it's a curve, so I'm going to draw it, kind of make it quite a severe curve, and then finish it. That hasn't worked, I can tell you now it hasn't worked. I'm not choosing the plane properly. whatever plane I chose. I think it was this one over here. You can see why it's extruded along. I've chosen this plane and it's extruded along that way. And that's clearly not the thing to do. I'm trying to choose this wall here, this part of this elevation, and it would extrude along in this direction. So I'm simply going to delete that. Well, let's call that a deliberate error. Let me show you, there was nothing deliberate about it. I'm going to go to east, and when I choose the plane, when I'm drawing this wall, this roof, then I'll make sure I choose somewhere on its left hand side, not somewhere over here that will send me off in the wrong direction completely. So roof by extrusion, pick a plane, and then I want to be over here. Roof of the wall, that's fine. And again, I'm going to go with a curve, just a kind of random height, random everything, and then finish it. Very good. It's just not behaving here. Go with it again. Roof by extrusion. It's always good to see a mistake, isn't it? I don't think this is going to work. Thanks so much for choosing the east elevation. I'm just going to see if this elevation marker is working properly. Right. So that has to get moved to there. It's not allowing me to select this. So let's see if it works this time. Roof by extrusion, pick a plane, curve. It's looking a bit healthier. That's how it should have looked at the beginning. Let's call that a deliberate error. Let me show you it wasn't. I'm going to bring this out a wee bit and bring this out a wee bit as well. I'm going to select all of these walls, pick one, select them all, and I'm going to attach them all to the roof. Okay, I think I've missed one right here, yeah, the curtain wall. This wall here, I'm going to attach that to the roof as well. Elements. They tell me the mullions are too small to create in some of the corners, and that's fine. But that's a roof by extrusion. Okay. Now, if you don't like that particular roof that you've modelled, or if your client doesn't like it, which is more likely, you select it and you can edit its profile. I'm going to get rid of the curve completely, and I'll draw some weird and wonderful shape, maybe with a combination of curves and straight lines. That'll make a roof. Tell me about the mullions again, so we just delete any mullions that it can't make. And that's a different shaped roof. Not a very pretty roof, but that's a roof. For roof by extrusion, you select a profile, you select a plane, you draw the profile, and you extrude the roof. But I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to draw a roof by footprint. Roof by footprint is by far the most common kind of roof you can put in a building. The roof by extrusion is a wee bit more, well, it gives you a wee bit more flexibility. So roof by footprint, the first thing you have to do is you have to give it an overhang. I'm going to make my overhang, I'm fed up using 500, so I'm going to use 800 just for a change. And I'm going to use pick the wall tool. So if I mouse over a wall, you'll see that the overhang can be on the inside. Now why it allows you to put an overhang of a roof on the inside, I honestly couldn't begin to tell you. That's a bizarre thing to do. So I'm going to put the overhang on the outside of the roof, which is where it's worthwhile. And I'm simply going to select all the walls, and they should kind of behave themselves as I mouse round. They should tidy themselves up. When I get to curves, sometimes it doesn't quite behave, I have to do it manually. But on straight lines, the software should be behaving itself. Now here, I've got a decision to make. I can put the roof in here and just join them up, or I can bring it right over this balcony here. I don't think it matters much. I'm going to, what will I do? I'll do this curved one first. And yeah, it hasn't behaved itself as usual, so we have to make a wee correction here manually. And I'll take that up to there and do it manually, make sure it joins. Remember, if you don't join it, you get the two dreaded orange dots. And I'm going to pull this down here to here, make sure that joins up, and then I'm going to make my mind about how this roof shape is going to be. I think I'm going to just bring it over in line, or even a wee bit beyond, no, in line with the balcony. Okay. Now, you'll notice I've got all of these wee arrows around those, and those are slope definition lines. So those arrows, I think I might have a problem here, I might be too small. I might not actually draw this footprint roof, I might have to make an edit down here. But I'll try it. Well, it seems to be accepting it. So what does it look like, a footprint roof? That's what it looks like. And clearly, these walls all have to be attached to it. And this one as well, attached to the roof. Tell me about the millions again, it just deletes any millions. And that's a footprint roof. Straightforward, and it's quite pretty. It's probably the most common kind of roof that you'll come across. Right, now, I'm not going to do internal walls on this building, but I would like to do two more things. I'd like to put in stairs, and I'd like to put in a Toposurface for you. So I'm going to go to ground level. The stairs are a bit of a bit tricky. They're not that tricky, but they're a wee bit tricky. I'm going to use this stair by sketch tool, and the very first stair I'm going to put in is a straight run stair. Check it in 3D, I'll find a way that I can see it. I'll maybe look at it from here and hide this wall out the way. And maybe even hide the curtain wall out the way temporarily. Hide element. That's fine at that. I can see I've got a straight run stair. What can you say? A straight run stair. I'm going to go to the ground. I'm going to edit this stair because they do lend themselves to a bit of editing. So I'll go to edit sketch. I've got three line types in here. If I zoom in, you'll see I've got green border lines. I've got this run line here, which is the kind of smart line. It's like the governor. And these black lines here are called risers. So I'm going to delete that boundary line, and I'm going to put an arc there. I'm going to do the same on this one here. I'm going to delete it, boundary line, an arc, and I'm going to start making the bottom riser curved as well. I'm going to delete that riser, make sure that this is selected as a riser tool, and I'm going to make it a curve. The bottom step on these steps is often curved. And this one here, do the same again, riser, curve. Finish the stair. Now if it is facing the wrong way, often is when I model these things, I can change it with this arrow here. So I'll let check it in 3D. Yeah, as usual it's facing the wrong way. So I'll go back to ground level and I use this arrow here It just simply flips it eventually, and that's my stair. I can see I've got my riser down there, and if I check it in 3D, you can see I've got a kind of slightly fancier run stair, straight run. You can zoom in, you can get quite wild with these, you can change the properties of them, you can change the materials of them, you can have glass stairs, and you can change the types of railings you've got. If I choose that railing there, I'll make it a glass panel. And if you can see it, I'll do the same with that one. It'll be the same, it's usual for railings to be the same on either side. You can go wild here, you can make these stairs all different kinds of materials. I don't intend to do that. In fact, I intend to delete this, but I'm just showing you how to do it. So I'm going to select that stair and I'm going to delete. And now I'm going to go to the ground level again. I've got the model stairs in plan. Some people I know can model them in 3D. I think it's quite a tricky operation. I tend to model stairs in a plan view and look at it and check it in 3D. It's your own preferences though. You'll see what you're happier with as you start to use this software. I'm going to use a stair by sketch again tool, and I'm going to make a U-shaped stair. This is by far the most common stair. You probably, if you're in our building today, you probably came up with a U-shaped stair. That's it. So I'm going to just check how long it is. It's needing 18 risers. It tells me in here how many risers I need. So I'm going to go halfway, and then I'm going to come back on myself. So the run line, which is the smart one, the blue one, has remembered that I started again over here, and it's joined up with itself. It's put in its own landing of the stair. So I'm going to simply check that, and then I'll look at it in 3D if I can find it. It's over there. That was a good place to put it. Right, so I'm going to hide some more walls here. Leave that one and that one. Okay, you can see the stair. Now these stairs begin exactly at the ground level. We'll check this one here, and we finish at precisely the next level up. So this riser here finishes at precisely this floor. And we can't see it right now because we don't have a hole in the floor to get through, so if we were to come up this stair, we'd reach the underside of that floor. So I'm going to get round that now. In fact, I'm going to copy this stair up. I don't know if it's in a great place. In fact, I'm going to move it first. I'm going to move it into the corner here. Then I copy it to the clipboard, as usual. Paste aligned. Asking me to save. I don't want to save. It's on the ground. I'm going to put it on levels 1 and 2. I'm just assuming that worked because I can't really see it right now because I want to get on with doing something else. When I've got a stair, then I need to put in a shaft opening so that when you come up the stair, you've got a hole in the floor to go through. This is a U-shaped stair, so I can use the rectangle tool. And I use the outside. I'm going to have to do this by eye. It seems not to be behaving. That's a shaft opening. I'll check it in 3D. You can see it's in place. Now, let's cut the hole in this floor here. Can you see it? And this stair begins at precisely the right place, and this one here ends at exactly the right place here. So the shaft opening, useful tool used in conjunction with stairs all the time for clear reasons. The shaft opening does have a rather odd behaviour. It seems to want to cut out the ground floor, so you have to lift it off the ground. You don't need a hole in the ground here, and sometimes it doesn't go high enough. And as usual, it hasn't, so I'm going to take it up here and take it through the ground. You can see those stairs and that shaft opening are in perfect alignment. The railings in the architectural template are smart and follow each other like the stairs. That doesn't happen in the structural element, so you have to be a wee bit careful and add them in manually. I don't want to put walls round, that's just straightforward. But I do want to do one final thing before we finish today, and I say goodbye to you. I'm going to reset all the temporary hides, bring this model round, and I want to put in a topo surface. Now generally, the topo surface will be given to you as survey data. However, we don't have survey data for this kind of fictitious, this job that we're inventing. So I go to site, and mathing in site, I'm going to put in a topo surface just manually. I'm going to put the topo surface all in at ground level, so it's nice flat ground here. And I'm just simply going to put in these are all at 0, and it will begin to put the contours in for me. It doesn't have to be a perfect rectangle, actually we can have more than one point, and you can change the elevation of it as well. But I don't particularly want to do that, I just want to get the topo surface in. That's it done. 3D it defaults a kind of muddy brown colour, so I'm going to select that topo surface and I'm going to give it a nicer surface. I'm going to call it grass. I'm just going to call it GRASS. Grass, that'll be fine, I'll use that one. And OK that. And it seems to be displaying as grey. That seems an odd choice for Revit to choose. I'm going to make grass green. Not too light, make it quite dark. Oops, make it quite dark. So green. If you have the floor shining through, that means there's an absence of a building pad. So in sight, I'm going to hide the roof. Just hide it temporarily. Roof overhang, so I can't put the building pad on the overhang of the roof, so I'm going to hide that. And I'm going to use building pad. And again, the pick lines tool, I'm just going to pick the external lines of the footprint of the building. All the way around. Curve included. Careful, change the outside. And draw it manually. If it doesn't want to behave, you have to sometimes force it to behave. There's a problem here, there's an error, there's some kind of overlap somewhere, so I'm going to zoom in. And there it's in there. Correct it in the usual way. Any more? Yeah, there's another one there. Correct that one. Finish the building pad. Okay. And then the visual style, I'm just going to put in some kind of component here. I'm going to place a component. I think I'd like not a footing, but I'm going to put in some kind of tree. Just to soften the design a wee bit. And I'm going to change the visual style to realistic. So we should see our trees and our toposurface and our building look just a shade more realistic. And that will do, I think, in the absence of internal walls, which I think you could model yourselves. You've got stairs, got windows, you've got wee balconies. And that's this webinar finished. And I would like you to have a wee go at doing an architectural model to completion for next week. Alright, just before I do go, I did look at your model that you drew. I thought it was excellent. It was good for the heart to see such a good model drawn in Revit structure. That was excellent. I'll try and give you some feedback on it. I haven't looked at it very carefully, but it was certainly a good model. Perfectly sound as far as I could see. I'm going to leave it at that though. But I would like you to do both models. I'd like you to do the architectural model, which I saw, and this architectural model. Generally, a smaller building is good for an architectural model. We don't have any structural steel in here, but I would like that I'd like to have a wee go at that one for next week. Just send it to me, and I'll get the feedback to you. I'll just email you the feedback. But on balance, as I looked at it earlier on today, I thought the structural model was very, very good. So well done. That's it. Goodbye to Dubai.